you need yourself to sustain yourself. So you're the person that usually goes to work to take care of yourself, to earn, to buy yourself stuff, right? Which means that if you're sick, you will not be able to do that. Which means if you're unwell, you will not be able to do that. So what I'm trying to say is, taking care of the artist is just as important as improving the artist or the work or the artwork you get.
What does mastery mean to you?
The degree of effortlessness in whatever you are doing.
How do you stay grounded when things feel uncertain or overwhelming?
Breaking routine is another way I used to cope. Sometimes you find that what's stressing you is actually part of what you are supposed to be doing and are kind of obligated to do. So it's kind of a painful cycle that you are stuck in. So the same thing that is stressing you is a mandatory thing that you must do. If you're used to eating outside a lot, maybe try make a meal for yourself for a change.
Hello, wonderful humans. Welcome back to Modern Day Comfort by your host Martin Sambia, where we advocate for mental health through visual arts and talks. And today we have a magnificent guest who is coming here for the third time.
Third, yeah, I think
for the third time. Welcome again.
This time in
And we'll be singing more openly.
Yeah. I look forward to more appearances. That's what I should call them.
Okay. Yeah, so today we are going to talk about mastering the mind.
Yes.
And you happen to be and the way I know you, an artist, a chess player, and a co-founder of Canopy Bridge Wellness.
Yes.
So we are going to tackle this mastering the mind from three scopes, which are creativity, strategy, now financial well-being.
Okay.
Yeah, but before we start, I'll just give you another opportunity to share with us maybe your background, how you became an artist, how you became a chess player, and also how you became a co-founder of Canopy.
Okay, so have I shared my history before on the channel?
Not really. Not really.
Okay, so just briefly, because I don't want to make it about myself, Sana. But yeah, I am Mudoka Felix, and I am a visual artist. I started drawing basically as soon as I could hold a pen, and yeah, I've been a self-taught artist since then. I've explored multiple mediums up until today. I do tattoos and other forms of body art like henna. What else about myself? Okay, I do play chess. I would say above intermediate to advanced, rated around 1800 on chess. What else? Yes, I am part of Canopy Bridge Wellness. It is a mental health based organization in Nairobi, and we try to bridge the gap between access to mental health services, especially for underserved and marginalized communities. So that's a brief background about how I find myself where I am. I started playing chess in high school. I was not very good, although I did think I was, because I was the best in high school in my school, but turns out I just did not have enough competition there. So I left high school knowing I was a really good chess player, went to campus and I met some really good players, and I was very weak. I was rated at around 1,000 at best. So yeah, after playing with some good players, I was like, I have to get better. I went into a year. I was obsessed with chess for about a year. I studied a lot of chess, consumed a lot of chess content, read a couple of chess books, watched chess movies, played a lot of chess games. I played almost 3,000 chess games over that, like just a period of a year, most online, rated, and I did grow significantly. But yeah, recently I've been very held up. I've not been able to pursue chess. Mostly I just do it as a hobby, but yeah, I am hoping to pursue it more professionally once I am more settled. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else that I have left out. Perhaps if there is, it'll appear to in
Wait,
the podcast somewhere. Yeah.
thank you again,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful. I'm grateful
Ah,
that
it's
you
great to be here
yeah.
again. Yeah,
Okay.
it's always a pleasure. Personally, I usually just come for the smoothies. I'm at the uji. Today it was uji. Today it
Today
was
was
porridge.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You take
Okay.
it or take it.
So,
Take it.
sir, thank you. And so the first question is, what does mastery mean to you in
Mm-hmm.
your field?
Okay, so my field that would be art, could also be chess,
Yes.
could also be the mental health space. I am a mental health advocate.
Mhm.
And I would say mastery is simply the degree of effortlessness in whatever you are doing. And whatever art it is, whatever type of art, whatever medium you're using, if it's chess, there's something I was actually recently I have wanted to how do I put this? Revisit my days of glory in chess. I realized that I was becoming slower in chess. It's really one of those things that you have to constantly practice, constantly do, keep your mind sharp.
Mm.
So I had not played chess in about 8-ish months. And I went back to play a game, I lost. And I played like three more games and I lost. And I realized I was not as sharp as I used to be. And I made it a point to revisit studying chess at least once a week. I was looking into something that it's a question that most chess students and apprentices like to ask chess masters and grandmasters. It's how many moves ahead do you think? And you would expect, since the average person, okay, the average chess player, intermediate, things around 3 to 4 moves ahead, you'd expect that the master level chess players think like 7, 8, 9, 12, 13 moves ahead, right? But when um, they are asked this, especially Bobby Fischer, aliulizwa, and his answer was none. He said none. And at first, it looks like a ridiculous answer, of course. But Michael Tao also explained that the lesser moves you think ahead, the sharper you are more likely to be, but not in the sense that not thinking is good. It's more like it occurs so naturally to you that you don't have to think about it. So you're already aware of the next 5 moves, you're already aware of the next 8 moves, and you know what could happen in case of whatever, but you just know the best move for the immediate action. So you know that this move might change the course of that, all of that. You've already thought about it, and the fact that you don't have to consciously think about it is why they say none is the best answer to that question. So effortlessness, that brings me back to that. And yeah, so whether it's chess, whether it's art you're doing, it has to, you have to be the art. Anyway, just kidding. Yeah, you have to become one with whatever you're doing. It has to become part of you. You have to become part of it. And yeah, that synergy. Yeah, that's what I'd call mastery.
Mastery.
Yeah.
Okay, that is well put.
Because
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and to in my defense,
Uh-huh.
when you look at masters do things that they are pros at, they are experts at, they make it look so easy.
Easy.
And that's the whole point of being a master or mastering something. You can't be struggling. I mean, if you're the master, what about us? Why are you struggling? You get. So yeah, it's yeah, that's what I
It's,
define mastery as. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is,
Mhm.
thank you for that. That is well put.
Mhm.
How do you stay grounded when things feels uncertain or overwhelming?
Okay. Hmm. So more like coping mechanisms to okay,
Yeah.
okay, coping with stress and something like that. Okay. People have unique coping mechanisms, some healthy, some unhealthy. So personally, I wouldn't call mine healthy, at least not all of them.
Yeah.
But taking a break, but not just taking a break. I find that since I live in an urban setting, you are kind of devoid from the experience of trees and nature. So when I'm having a hard time, I'm a difficult time, it usually really helps to leave the city setting and go to somewhere more serene. I'm filled with more vegetation and nature. So could be a walk, could be visiting a park, could be visiting a friend who lives in a place like that. So it doesn't really mean traveling. I'm making a big deal out of it. But yeah, just trying to make contact with nature. That's one way. hmm Breaking routine. Breaking routine is another way I used to cope. So sometimes you find that what's stressing you is actually part of what you are supposed to be doing and are kind of obligated to do. So it's kind of a painful cycle that you are stuck in. So the same thing that is stressing you is a mandatory thing that you must do all the time, every time. So sometimes changing your routine, doing something you don't usually do. So if you always cook and eat, maybe try eat outside. It's not always that much more expensive. Um, if you're used to eating outside a lot, maybe try make a meal for yourself for a change. If Okay, it can even be as basic as trying a new flavor for something. Trying something new, just break routine, something you have not been in contact with for a while. Hata kama it's something you used to do a while back, but you stopped for some reason. So yeah, those are some of the healthier ways of coping with stress. I say work for me. So yeah,
Okay. And have you ever used art to maybe process,
definitely,
communicate?
definitely.
Uh-huh.
So as much as I would like to say I am very expressive with my art, I'm also very impulsive. So I give in to impulses about stuff I want to paint, draw, or do. But I have found myself often expressing situations in my life, expressing emotions, feelings, interests even. So this sometimes is not even intentional. So you'll find that the human mind obviously is very profound and intriguing to think about, because when you are drawing, when you are sad, you're more likely to draw certain things as opposed to when you're happy. When you're excited, when you're anxious, when you're nervous, all of those things are going to manifest in what you're drawing. So from the choice of drawing, from to the medium of drawing, to the subject you're drawing, to the colors you choose, all represent something subconscious that you don't really have control over. So when I do a piece of work, when I'm happy, it often ends up reflecting that I was happy while I was doing that. So I'll take that as a representation, or rather an expression of how I was at that particular time. So when you think about it, most of the work I do that is not commissioned is usually self-expressive, whether consciously or subconsciously. So that's what I'd say. But often when I feel like I need to release some stress, pound up nini, held up energy, stress, ile to, yeah, stress. That's the right term. I might consider doing a painting. And for an artist, some things have different effects on your mind and the attitude you have while drawing. So when someone tells you to draw a specific item in a specific color and a specific size, on a specific piece of canvas and everything ashakupatia ni wewe tu ufanye, it can be a little underwhelming, it can be demotivating as an artist. But when someone tells you, draw me anything of any color on any piece of paper on any medium of your choosing, the freedom to choose and the freedom to create something unique or something you like, it's very exciting and liberating. So yeah, so often I will let myself, because I usually have, as much as I don't restrain myself a lot, I still have a structure, I still have principles. So when I draw, when I paint, I still have things that guide me and what I draw. But at times when I am overwhelmed or sad, or I feel like I need to unwind, I find myself letting Nini undoing those chains and just letting myself do whatever, and that is very liberating. And at the end of it, I usually feel so much better, honestly, whether I like the piece that I have come up with. And I don't think I ever disliked a piece that I did in such a condition. So yeah, that's one way I say I use art to cope with stress and difficult situations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Personally, kuna a piece I was working on. So when I was working on it, after sometimes I took a break from it, and then a friend of mine like called and asked like how is the progress, and I told them like I had even forgotten about it. And I was like, which piece? After them describing it, then I noticed, oh, like, and the way I was defending myself, I said I wasn't in the right mental state of doing it. So then I started thinking through. I noticed like most of my pieces, I'm working on them when I'm in the like right mental state. This is when like rent is sorted out, everything is fine on my end. And I came to notice like how now do I normally express myself. So you on a personal level, do you have this like mental state where you can't get to work?
Yes.
How does it look like?
What it looks like?
Yeah.
It looks like demotivation and lack of energy, fatigue, and yeah, often maybe frustration. Sometimes you can have a go at a painting once, and then the second time, and it's not really turning out the way you want it to. Excuse me. And that alone can really frustrate you. So what I described was just an instance that can lead to that. But sometimes it can come out of prolonged periods of working, like by work I mean drawing, maybe painting, whatever it is you're doing. You can get burnout, you can get drained, and yeah, sometimes it's just rest that you need, but your body has a very harsh way of telling you that. So yeah, that's one of the instances I can describe as me lacking the motivation to go back to work, or to go back to drawing or painting or studying chess. Yeah. I've mostly experienced that with chess because I'm more passionate about my art than I am with chess. But still, chess is something I have a lot of connection to. It is something that I find a lot of happiness in. Yeah, but it's not something I was doing since I could write. So yeah, you can't compare the two. Oh, I thought my phone was ringing. Yeah, so with chess, sometimes you go online, you lose 5 games in a row. You go, unaenda YouTube, you study 2 new openings, you're like, now you are armed to the tooth. Unarudi tena online, you lose still. So you can get very frustrated, and some people are also toxic online. I don't know, it's a very easy place to get frustrated. So yeah, I've experienced a lot of that in that field more than I have in my art career. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm also curious, like for me personally, I don't know. I've noticed like even after taking those breaks, anytime like you go back to art, there is always a progress. Like you are not working, like it's just going to be something better than what you're
Are you
working
talking
on.
about your piece, like your experience
With the pieces, yeah,
uh-huh.
that is like something I've experienced with my
Yeah.
pieces. So I'm curious, does that apply to your art also? And chess, like where does that apply between art and chess, or
Okay,
both, or
think
none?
about it this way. You have a task
Okay.
to lift, let's say a heavy object off the ground. So you lift it the first time, it's really heavy, and then you put it back down, and then someone tells you lift it again. You lift it the second time and you put it down. By the fifth, sixth time, you'll be unable to lift it as fast, right?
Very true.
Now you're getting fatigued, you're getting tired, and as you go, you're going to get slower, and it's going to be harder to go back to. Akikwambia uinue hata mtafight, right?
Yeah.
But if you take an hour, go rest, eat well, kunywe maji, urudi, ukiinua, it's going to be quite easy, and it's going to be as fast, almost faster than the first time you lifted it.
Yeah.
So that's where the progress comes in. So whether it's art that you have been doing a lot of and you are burnt out, and you take a moment of rest, you take a week off, a month off, when you come back, you're going to be significantly more capable. So it's not a surprise really. And yeah, plus pia, it could be that because the last time you were doing it, the quality of output was low because you were tired and everything. And just in comparison alone, your normal work when you're well rested and your work while you're tired, there's going to be a stark difference. So yeah, I think that applies to most professions and fields. Yes.
I wasn't like you. Felix is my mentor. He took me through art, so I didn't, like, he used to tell me to take breaks.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting it. Like why? Like I feel like drawing. Why should I take a break?
Drawing
But
can be very, very addictive and persuasive.
yeah.
Yeah.
But after taking breaks, and now you bringing this concept,
Yeah.
now I'm totally getting why. Like, okay, that is what has been happening.
Yeah, that's what breaks are all about. Yeah, it's about recharging. Um okay, so in the work, okay, I don't know how to put this, but you need yourself to sustain yourself. So you're the person that usually goes to work to take care of yourself, to earn, to buy yourself stuff, right? Which means that if you're sick, you will not be able to do that. Which means if you're unwell, you'll not be able to do that. So what I'm trying to say is, taking care of the artist is just as important as improving the artist or the work or the artwork you get. Yeah, the artist is just as valuable as the artwork. So yeah, since it's the artist that makes the work, you might as well make sure that the artist is at the optimal state. Yeah.
And I have a question. Like, do you remember that feeling you felt when you first put your artwork out there?
Okay, when was that? What do you mean by out there? On what scale?
It can be, I guess, for schoolwork, like for the hard copies, I'm sure kuna those people who are watching your progress.
Yeah, in class.
School, in class.
Yeah, when I drew. Yeah.
Okay,
there was a
so
lot
maybe
of that.
social media will work best, like people not seeing your progress,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're just done with a piece, fully working for
That was Instagram for
Instagram.
me.
Okay.
Back in 2019, heading break. Yeah, into 2020, and it was yeah, I was used to being good, like in school, and although I still had esteem issues with my artwork, I did not think I was good enough to compete with the people that are outside here. And when I started posting on my Insta channel, by the way, that channel, I only started it for one reason and one alone. Even when you visit the channel, it has no other history. It's just artwork.
Artwork, pure artwork.
So yeah, when I first posted and I got likes from people who I had never met before, it's different when a friend, am just your classmates, I'm in familiarity, right? So they are obviously going to tell you it's nice. I mean, they have to encourage you somehow, or at least that's what I thought. But someone who has no bias, someone who has never seen your work before, seeing your work and being like, okay, this is really good. Yeah, you're doing a great job. That really gives you hope to go on and continue and motivates you to become even better. So, yeah, it was very recharging. That's what I would say. The feeling of the first time, because up until then, I would say I was gradually becoming less and less confident in my work. Although my work was gradually becoming better, I was also becoming more and more exposed to more artists and artwork outside. And I was just comparing and comparing and comparing, and I found my work to be very primitive at the time. So, yeah, I would say it was very recharging and motivating. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you deal, ama how do you approach it? Because like kuna those times you might like you might compare your work with other people work, and kuna that time it might bring envy, na kuna time it might bring motivation, like or kuna that black and white stuff.
Yeah.
So like how do you, for it to serve you, you have to look at it as a motivation. So how do you like go about that?
Okay.
What lenses do you
How
normally
to
use to to look at
how
people's
to
work
balance between your envy and motivation?
and motivation?
Wow. Okay. So I've actually never thought about it that way. Although I have, but as a kid, mostly, I used to okay, yeah, envy is the right word. Yeah, it was definitely in at around class 7. I was there was a bunch of good artists in the class. We had like 3 streams, so every class had at least 3 artists, and they were really good at it too. And there was specifically a certain kid in a different stream. Their art style was very enticing, and I found myself envious of them. But when I was finally able to attain the art style, I found that I did not derive any joy from being able to do that or seeing my artwork looking like that. I was happy that I was capable of emulating it, and all that, but still, it did not feel like it was something I had created, because I feel like envy is quite a powerful emotion, and it drives you really hard into what you want. So if envy drives you to emulate a certain person's work or to reach their level, when you finally reach there, the motivating factor is gone, because now you're kind of equal to them. So yeah, when I finally, because I have been on a constant journey of improvement, so I was not stagnant. So when I finally got to that level at around form 2, so that was like 3 years later, I had already left. Okay, we had already finished class 8, and I had not seen any of my classmates since then. So I had totally forgotten about them. But when okay, wow, 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 when I was finally at that level, it was not as rewarding. It was not as rewarding, and it felt hollow, and it felt like you have actually played to this person's tune. You have done all this just so that you could feel like you are better than them or something like that. So yeah, I found it to be not the most rewarding or satisfying feelings. So I discovered better feelings to chase, better rewards. So yeah, that's what I would. Okay, so by the way, from this story, I think hata pia mimi sikuwa najua what point I was trying to head. I was just giving an example,
Sorry.
but after listening to the story myself, now I'm also learning from it. What we learned from this story is find something more rewarding than being better than someone. Yeah, find something more rewarding than being better than them. Because trust me, you'll get there. You'll get there. They'll probably not be there anymore. They'll have grown probably. But if it's so unfortunate that they stayed stagnant and you surpass them, it's not going to be as rewarding as it looks, as you might think. Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. That's what we learned from that story. Mambo peleka vitu spontaneously unapotea midway.
It is a nice story. It really, you should publish it. It is a nice story.
I'm actually now very much considering. I have a YouTube channel without any followers. I just opened it to just have it there in case I should start posting some of these interviews.
Okay.
We should talk about copyrights after this.
Okay, so as long as you're in the video, no worries. Maybe, and I do pray things don't change.
Yeah.
I still like pray for your growth also.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Constant growth.
Yeah. To share soul story in a copyright. Yeah. You can take those videos. Okay, so yeah, that was a nice story, truly speaking. Yeah, like what I'm getting from it. But then when we focus on when we focus on how we can grow as individuals, instead of like overstepping on others, like I feel like inakuwa so fulfilling when we get to reach at those goalposts that we had set for ourselves. Yeah, that is a good thing. So my another question will be based on chess, and it is like, have you ever noticed anywhere like chess helping anywhere outside the game, like for creativity or my emotional intelligence?
Okay. That's yes, definitely. In so many places. I won't be able to highlight all of them, but there is a couple. I would say, first of all, priorities. See, on the chessboard, you have multiple pieces at your disposal, but they are all worth different levels of value. So, depending on what they are capable of doing. So, the queen is capable of really moving long strides in many directions. So, she's the superior piece on the board, followed by maybe the rooks and then the bishops, knights, like that. And then the pawn is the least valuable piece. So sometimes you often have to make a sacrifice to make progress, or maybe to capture the enemy king, to make a successful attack. You get? So it would obviously be in ideal to capture or to sacrifice a more valuable piece to capture a less valuable piece. So you don't want to be trading at a disadvantage. So in life, you always have to have your priorities right. So whether it's where your money is going, where your time is going, things you invest in, things you don't invest in, what to give up, what not to give up. So yeah, setting your priorities right is one of the ways chess manifests in real life. Yes. Another one is, foresight. You thinking ahead. Most of the times in life, as much as we'd like to say it's not predictable, some parts of life actually are predictable. Like, you know for sure if you don't wash the dishes, in about 2 days they are going to be stinking, right?
Yeah.
You know for sure that if you do not like dry your clothes well, they are going to, mostly because these are things you have already done before. So your experiences, the history, you can already predict what's going to happen. So planning ahead and choosing not to plan ahead can be a big life changer. So that's one way life kind of emulates chess.
Yeah.
What else? I'm sure there's so many ways. But yeah, I think those two will do. I think those two
Those
will
do.
do.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to start yenye sitaweza complete ama make sense of. Yes.
And do you have like a memorable game that changed your life perspective?
Okay, memorable game.
Yeah.
Okay. To be honest, I am not at that level whereby I am capable of recalling certain games,
Okay.
but I am at a level where I'm capable of remembering a lot of the players I have played. And I have an apprentice. I don't know whether I don't have to mention his name. I have an apprentice I have been mentoring in chess for about a year now.
Okay.
I think, oh no, I'd say a year and a half. A year and a half. So obviously, he had never won a match against me since I started teaching him chess, and that has always been his dream. Like that has always been his aspiration. So we played. Sometimes he would come close, but I would still be like, nope, not today, nope, not today. So this year, at around I think February, if not February, it was January. We played a game and he won, and it was the nature of that game. He had grown so much. He was able to strategize so well, and yeah, I feel like that's a game that really changed how I think about time. Because when the first game I played with him, he was very, how do I say, amateur. Let me just use that. And he was able to learn so much, but he had the grit. He was really interested, he was motivated, he was always playing chess, man. Kwa matatu tukiwa na yeye tukitoka tao ako kwa chess. When he would come over to my place to hang out, he would be on chess. So yeah, he did practice a lot, but that made me see that so many things are possible just by putting in the effort and being intentional about it. So I found myself wanting to pursue some of the interests I've had, like wanting to do the things I've wanted to do or learn. I've I've found them more possible now. They are more attainable. Yeah. So that's one game that I would say. It has not like changed my life exponentially, but it has changed how I look at things and how I can learn things in a short period of
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is interesting.
Yeah.
We've talked about art,
Art,
chess. Yeah, now you're going to talk about Canopy Bridge Wellness.
Mhm.
So I have like two questions there.
Yeah.
So the first question is where did that inspiration came from?
Mhm.
And the second one is what what gap did you notice in financial education?
Okay.
Yeah.
So why that why that choice? Mental health. So Canopy Bridge is a mental health organization. It We try to bridge the gap between access and affordability for mental health services. When you think about therapy, it's always expensive. You're thinking 3,000 per session, you're thinking 4,000 per session, depending on where you go. And it can be quite expensive for the average person. And imagine sasa for someone who can barely afford food. So often it is a last priority that people are never going to afford to pay for. So yeah, so what Canopy Bridge does is it offers a lot of these services for free in the marginalized communities. So art therapy, group therapy, individual therapy, story sharing sessions. So those are just some of the tools that we use to deliver mental health and wellness services to these communities. And yeah, so that was the motivation behind the idea. And one of the most challenged demographics that we also deal with is the youth. So especially now in these economic times, it's a lot, like now that we are adults, ndo vitu zinakuwa ngumu, so people are not very happy about the economy, and life is very unideal for a lot of people. People are struggling, and the youth are taking the brunt of it. So yeah, that's one of the motivating factors to develop an initiative that would bridge these gaps. And you asked why financial wellness.
Or what gap did you notice
Okay.
on financial education
Yeah.
in the society?
So the thing with a lot of young people right now, ukimpatia a young person, ukimpatia 100 G's right now, they're going to be in such a better position tomorrow, whether it's health wise, financially, um, spiritually. You get, ataenda atatoa tithe, ataenda atalipa bills, atagift loved ones, atatake a moment to shukuru their own bodies, to take care of themselves, atakula vizuri, atavaa poa. These are basic human decencies. You get, essentials. They're just basic essentials. They're not like special things that only special people get to have, you know. Being able to gift your loved one, being able to survive, being able to pay your bills, being able to feed yourself well, being able to dress yourself well. These are just basic things that a lot of people are really lacking out here. And you see, all of these, even mental health issues, can often be pinpointed or rather traced back to financial wellness. So yeah, it's just part of trying to tackle the problem at the root. And financial wellness is one of the many factors that contribute to the poor mental health state of many youths in Kenya. So especially in Nairobi, yes, the concrete jungle. It's not easy out here. People are struggling. There's no money to be had, and yeah, that is really stressing people out. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that.
Okay. And can you consider yourself as someone who is struggling with being able to identify the needs and wants?
No, not really, not necessarily. It, I would say, at around my third year of campus study, I was definitely there, and I would have been in a better position today if someone had introduced me to such knowledge, skills at a younger age. Maybe at first year, just knowing how to balance your wants and needs, and yeah, how to make your needs your wants. So yeah, I would say that I was just lucky that circumstance made it so that I found myself equipped with such at an earlier time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. So, like, what is the biggest mindset shift that you feel like maybe people need to be aware of when it comes to handling their financials?
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not the best financial advisor, obviously, but okay, biggest mind shifts people can have about how they handle their finances.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, sawa.
Mhm.
So this is going to be unique to me and what I stand for. So it's not ideal for everyone. You can try it. Whoever is watching, you can try it if you want to. And it has worked for me. It does not necessarily mean it will work for other people, but investing in yourself, investing in the person that makes the money. You get, look, it's basically what I said a few moments ago. Investing in yourself, and yourself is the person that makes the money. So a lot of people always think outwards with their finances. where can I invest, where can I double my money, oh nikinunua hii na tuso naweza uza na for so bas iko fiti. Yeah, that's great and all, but often we end up forgetting about the person that is actually doing all of these things, the person that is actually thinking about all of these ideas. And you find that with burnout, it's very hard to come up with ideas or to solve problems. Yeah. And when the brain is tired, it's basically just very hard to solve problems, come up with new ideas. So yeah, a small change in mindset, invest in yourself every now and then. Get yourself a nice meal, your favorite snack. Get yourself a nice t-shirt, get yourself some pants. Treat yourself, go on a date, single date. What else? Do something for fun. Do something that does not necessarily bring you profit, but makes you happy, you know. And hang out with friends, take photos of yourself, try new things, invest in your hobbies.
Yeah.
You get. And yeah, especially that, invest in your hobbies. Just because it's something that you only do for fun and it does not bring you any money is not reason to not invest in it. Yeah, so if you're an artist and you only paint for fun and you don't necessarily sell your work, but you really enjoy painting, go for it. Buy those expensive brushes, buy those paints. So yeah, invest in yourself. That's a slight mindset change that might benefit someone.
Yeah, that is, and like it's something I interacted with also during the week. But it was like why working hard can be a bad advice or a good advice.
Yeah.
So like when you are working hard on yourself, the best advice ever. But when you are working hard on the work or other things, now the worst advice ever.
Yeah.
And working hard on yourself are those things that you mentioned.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so maybe outside all the things we've talked about, what is one thing you feel like maybe you can put across
Outside of all of the things
we've talked about? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Also, you are an entrepreneur. So,
oh yes, I am an entrepreneur.
what do you have in store for us as an entrepreneur?
As
Even
an
your
entrepreneur.
products, the ones that you are intending to launch, maybe.
Okay,
Yeah,
so currently I sell paintings and I do commissioned paintings as well. So if it's something specific you want painted on a specific medium, also I do portraits, I do tattoos, I do henna. What else?
Do they for henna? How long do they take on someone's skin?
Depends on how much you're doing with that part of the skin. So if it's close to the hands where you do a lot of work and stuff, yeah, it might last 2 weeks. But if it's somewhere more concealed and protected, might last up to a month or two. It just depends on how much exposed to the elements the henna is.
Okay.
Yeah. Also on the quality of the dye. Yeah. But longer lasting dye is not very healthy because it tends to really absorb into the skin, which can be detrimental. Yeah, but yeah, you can always find a sweet spot between between the two. Yeah, so also planning on starting a business, a food business. It's called Mano Munch KE, and yeah, it's going to have a lot of snacks and affordable food. Really looking forward to that. We're yet to structure the menu, but once it is, you'll be able to order stuff and get really stuff for really cheap. So, what else am I missing? Think think that's about it for now.
For now, yeah.
Yeah.
For the Mano means you have like a social media. It's Mano.
Mano
Mano.
Munch.
Mano Munch.
MUNCH. So
Okay.
yeah, it's on TikTok, Mano Munch KE. You'll find it.
Yeah, I will share the link also on our description.
Yeah. You can also share the link to my website. You can
Yeah,
access
yeah.
some of my artwork
Uh-huh.
and paintings and tattoos and other services there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What else? Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's about it.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is all for now. And the last one.
Yeah.
So,
It's okay.
yeah, if you are like, I know many people out here
Mm-hmm.
are like, they have a dream of starting something also, and they know what to do,
Yeah.
but they haven't like, and they don't know why, but they know what to do, and they know what they want to do.
Yeah.
But now this starting
Mm-hmm.
is a problem. What advice maybe do you have for them?
Okay. I think I've exhausted all of my wisdom juices, but yeah, I would say think about it this way. When you are finally starting, the people you're going to be competing with are the people that have started today or the day before today. So they're going to be that much far ahead of you. So if it's a year from now, you're going to be competing with someone who has been doing it for a year already. If it's 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and someone starts right now as we speak, you're going to be competing with someone who started 2 years ago. So yeah, just think about that and do it, that information, whatever you see fit. Go get started. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you for having you
Thank,
around. Yeah.
thank you for having me. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was quite a session. I've learned a lot, and I'm still going
I've
to
also
relearn a
learned a
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also learned a lot from the things I said. Some of them are a little too
Continue.
spontaneous, and yeah, there's I don't know. I'm sure editing will be done and some parts will be cut.
It's
So
okay.
yeah, tutaenda tu. I'm sure
Okay.
ziko kuna parts tu nilikuwa yenyewe I get tangled up in my own
Yeah.
thoughts, but yeah. I
Okay.
tried, but I usually prefer the most spontaneous ones mostly because I learn from them as well. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For the viewers, thank you for your never-ending support. You are part of the reason we keep on doing what we are doing, and yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.